The city was on the brink of total collapse. Chaos ruled the streets as an underground criminal organization, led by the elusive and vicious mob boss, Dominic, the Phantom Ricci, had tightened its grip on every corner. Law enforcement had grown powerless against the growing tide of corruption and violence. The justice system seemed to be failing, and ordinary citizens lived in constant fear. But in the midst of this darkness, there was one man who had stood his ground against evil time and time again. Clint Eastwood, the lone warrior who never backed down from a fight, was about to take on his most dangerous adversary yet. The Phantom's empire had already caused irreversible damage, but Clint wasn't about to let it destroy everything he had fought to protect. With nothing but his determination, a few trusted allies, and his unwavering sense of justice, Clint prepared to face the ultimate showdown. It was law versus chaos, and Clint Eastwood wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for the soul of the city. Clint knew that the road to stopping the Phantom wouldn't be easy. The mob boss had eyes everywhere, controlling a vast network of criminals, corrupt politicians, and even some members of law enforcement. Clint's first step was to gather intel on Ricci's operations. He followed the trail of violence, piecing together the connections that made up the Phantom's criminal empire. But it wasn't just about gathering information, it was about surviving in a city that had turned against itself. Clint's every move was under constant surveillance, and soon, it became clear that the Phantom knew he was coming. Ricci's forces began to target Clint's allies, one by one, sending a clear message: stay out of our way, or you'll pay the price. The streets became a war zone as Clint went on the offensive, taking down Ricci's henchmen and sending shockwaves through the criminal organization. But the deeper Clint got, the more dangerous it became. The Phantom wasn't just a figurehead, he was a shadow in the city, always one step ahead, and Clint would have to be at his absolute best to stop him. As the tension between Clint and the Phantom escalated, it became evident that this wasn't just a battle for control of the city, it was a war for its very soul. The Phantom had a plan to bring the city to its knees, one that involved a devastating blow to the heart of its government. He had allies in the highest positions, ensuring that even the law was unable to intervene. But Clint had something that the Phantom didn't: a relentless drive to right the wrongs and an unbreakable will to fight for justice. Clint had taken down some of the most dangerous criminals in the world, but this fight would require everything he had. With each step closer to the Phantom, the stakes grew higher. Clint realized that the key to defeating Ricci wasn't just about taking down his men, it was about dismantling his entire network. Ricci's empire wasn't just built on fear and violence, it was held together by corruption, and Clint was determined to tear that foundation apart. But as Clint got closer to the Phantom, the danger became more personal. Ricci wasn't just targeting his allies anymore, he was targeting Clint himself. Clint had cornered the Phantom in a final, decisive move. The city was on the edge, and everything had led up to this moment. The final confrontation would happen in the heart of the city, where it all began. The Phantom, confident in his invincibility, had prepared for this day, surrounded by his most loyal men. The battle was inevitable, and Clint knew it would come down to a brutal fight. The air was thick with tension as Clint entered the lair of the beast. Every corner was guarded, but Clint's experience and skill allowed him to move swiftly, taking down Ricci's henchmen one by one. The Phantom, knowing that his empire was crumbling, stood at the center of his fortress, ready to face the man who had become his greatest enemy. In a fierce, all-out brawl, Clint and Ricci faced each other with nothing but hatred between them. Clint's every move was calculated, but Ricci wasn't backing down. The fight was vicious, a true test of wills. As punches were exchanged and the warehouse shook with the sounds of their battle, Clint knew that he had only one shot to end this for good. The fight reached its peak. Clint, battered but undeterred, managed to land a powerful blow that sent the Phantom sprawling to the ground. The criminal mastermind, stunned and gasping for air, looked up at Clint, realizing that his reign of terror was finally over. Clint stood tall, his face marked by the years of battle and the weight of the struggle. It wasn't just the physical fight that had won this day, it was Clint's unyielding sense of justice and his willingness to fight for what was right, no matter the cost. With the Phantom defeated, the city could finally breathe. The corrupt empire crumbled, and the people who had lived in fear could now begin to rebuild. Clint didn't stay for the accolades or recognition. His job was done, and the city was safe, for now. As Clint walked away from the destruction, he knew there would always be another fight, another enemy to face. But for today, he had one. For more stories of justice and redemption, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated on Clint's ongoing battles for justice.